Today we're going to be talking about exploring and estimating ratios. Very first thing we need to talk about is the ratio itself. Well, what is a ratio? It simply compares two quantities. So a ratio compares two quantities. If I wanted to compare the number of cranial bones to the number of facial bones in the human skull, I might say that there are 8 cranial bones and 14 facial bones. Whatever it says first, that's what goes on top or what is listed first. So 8 cranial bones compared to 14 facial bones. This is one way to compare it. We can use a fraction. Another way to compare it is just to simply use a colon. 8 to 14. And then a final way to compare it would be to use the word 2. So 8 to 14. All three ways are read 8 to 14. And we know how to set up a ratio based on the way that it is given to us in the text. So if I were to say in a group of 7th graders, 34 were right-handed and 5 were left-handed, find the ratio of right-handers to left-handers, then I would put my right-handers first, or I would put my right-handers on top. So let's see how that works. So here I have my right-handers, there are 34 of them, and my left-handers, 5 of them. I asked you to compare right-handers to left-handers. That means my right-handers will be listed first or on top. So go ahead and list them 3 ways. My first option is a fraction. 34 over 5, or 34 to 5. My second option is using the colon. Again, read 34 to 5. And my final option is to say 34, use the word to 5. All fractions, when writing them as ratios, will be left improper. We won't use a mixed number to show a ratio because we're comparing two quantities. We can also use the ratio when comparing part of something compared to the whole thing. Your part would be on top, the whole thing would be on bottom. So here I have a box of squares. I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 squares. So the whole thing would be considered 9 squares. Well, I want to compare the number of shaded boxes to all of the boxes. So that means I'd need to count my shaded, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and put them over my total boxes. I have 5 shaded and 9 total. Again, I could write that 5 to 9, 5 to 9. Well, what if I wanted to compare shaded to unshaded? I want to put it in the order that it was given to me. That means that my shaded will be listed first, followed by my unshaded. In this diagram, I have 5 shaded and 4 unshaded. Again, we leave this as an improper fraction. We will not be turning it into a mixed number because I want to show that 5 are shaded, 4 are unshaded. And that could also be written as 5 to 4, 5 to 4. I could have also said unshaded compared to the entire quantity. Unshaded would be 4, the entire quantity would be 9. So So I could have said 4 to 9, depending on what is being asked of me. Very important that you read the directions carefully and find out what are they actually asking. One last thing that you need to be aware of is that when we write our ratios, if they can be simplified, we need to do so. So here I'm asking you to compare 14 dogs to 16 cats. So as a fraction, I would write that 14 to 16. Well, notice that I have a common factor in both 14 and 16. The common factor is 2. That means I need to take a 2 out of both the 14 and the 16, and we do this by dividing. So I will be dividing both the 14 and the 16 by 2. That will give me a new numerator of 7 and a new denominator of 8. 14 sixteenths is the same thing as 7 eighths. Now I can go ahead and write my other two versions. So as well as 7 to 8 in fraction form, I could write 7:8, which means 7 to 8. And I could also use 7 in the word to, 7 to 8. So here are the three ways to write 14 dogs to 16 cats. Again, remember, you do need to simplify these. That does not mean turn them into mixed numbers. It just means to take out any common factors that there might be in both numbers.